those poor sods whose last Ron Howard movie was his adaptation of Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code, the dilemma referred to in the title of his new flick might be deemed to contain less 20 plot points about Vince Vaughn agonising over whether to grass cheating Winona Ryder up to her hubby, his best pal Kevin James, and more about whether they should actually bother to go and see the film at all in the first place, or whether they should spend their time doing something potentially more rewarding like feeding sticks of dynamite to hedgehogs. Because although Howard has worked tirelessly, and it must be said successfully, to escape his cornball past starring in Happy Days, the directorial CV of the erstwhile Richie Cunningham is still one strewn with that'll-do middle-of-the-road mediocrities, from Tom Hanks fancying a bit of fish in Splash, to the old folks getting souped up on space goofballs in Cocoon, to Tom Cruise playing a Lucky Charm hunting leprechaun in Far and Away. It's tempting, therefore, to think of Richie C almost as the anti-director, a man so immersed in the simplistic conventions of sitcom shooting that he's failed to ever assimilate any more adventurous influences. To him, Eisenstein was the white-haired geezer who was well good at science, Kubrick was the guy who came up with that tricky little puzzle cube, and Jean-Luc Godard was the bald-headed captain on Star Trek The Next Generation. Although having said that, the almost stage farce setup of the dilemma means that Howard's flatly unadventurous direction is less of a drawback here than it is when he tackles more action-y fare, like that little scene Happy Days spin-off movie in which Richie, Ralph and Potsy are kidnapped by the Red Army faction while on a high school exchange, and Tom Bosley has to load up and go kick some commie butt. Sunday, Monday, Happy Days? Fuck yeah! No, there are two things far more important than filmmaking flair to this sitcom-esque endeavour, namely the situation and the comedy. In terms of the former, we start off with a sick-making little foursome. Vaughn's Ronnie and his girlfriend Beth, played by Jennifer Connelly, and Nick and Geneva, who are played by James and Ryder. To underline what great mates Ron and Nick are, there's a scene at the beginning where they perform a little dance routine in a bar based on an American football play. How cute. And so swell do the whole quartet get on that you begin to wonder whether the heralded dilemma might turn out to be whether or not to indulge in some menage a quatre action, and by extension the ashen-faced breakfast the morning after, where Ronnie distractedly wonders precisely whose finger it was that last night strayed so very, very close to the gateway of the Forbidden City. Of course that's not the case here, and we're soon on to the backhanded feud between Ronnie and Geneva, as he demands she tell her hubby that she's a two-timer, and she in turn threatens to accuse him of having made advances towards her. Or a bitch. Now as for the comedy, well, given that the dilemma is a movie littered with allusions to American football and ice hockey, here's a British sporting cliché that seems pretty apt. It's very much a game of two halves. For if the first hour delivers plenty of laughs from Ronnie's bumbling attempts to manage the crisis, culminating in the standout comic set piece where he hijacks an anniversary dinner in a bid to shame Geneva, then that good work is never built upon, as the yucks simply evaporate the longer the film winds on. Characterisation proves problematic too. While Vaughn cruises by on the kind of quick-talking, easy-charm he first demonstrated in Swingers all those years back, Jennifer Connelly is particularly poorly served, her Beth the chef being given very little to do except stand round looking gorgeous, a task Connelly is more than equal to, even taking into account the occasional distraction provided by her Gallagher brother eyebrows. And neither is Ryder given a huge amount to work with in a role as chief villain of the piece, with Bad Girl the simplistic screen persona the actress has seemingly been landed with as she finally begins to appear in more high-profile movies following her ill-fated visit to the Beverly Hills branch of Saks. From a 90s heyday as pin-up of sensitive artistic types with spindly facial hair, she's now seemingly been pegged as a crack loon, a venomous psycho hiding under a brittle facade. So just as in Black Swan she ends up stabbing herself in the face with a knitting needle, so in the dilemma she magically transforms from long-time friend of Vaughn to ice-cold succubus in less time than it takes to make a hedgehog eat some dynamite. Seriously, try it. It's easy and fun.